morning. Welcome to another edition of Tech Tuesday, presented by Delta Media Group, where we're kind of over the whole turkey thing on Thanksgiving. Turkey's just not cutting it anymore. This year it's brisket. It's smoked brisket for Thanksgiving. So, with that in mind and your Thanksgiving meal preparations all squared away now, we are going to take a look at AdWizard this week. Now, we did a video when we first released it where we kind of went over the basics of it, and we've added a few things since then, and just kind of wanted to revisit it and take everyone through it again so you can see what it is and what it's about. Let's jump into the DeltaNet and take a look at it. So to get there, I am going to scroll down here to Marketing and click on AdWizard. Now, the first time you go in here, it'll ask you to create an ad account. So I'm not going to run through the whole process there, but just to show you what that looks like, because I don't want to create an ad account, another ad account. I've got enough. So if this ever, it's working for me. I've made it angry. So anyway, while this loads up, to talk about a little what AdWizard does, what this is actually for is to allow you to create ads through the DeltaNet. So what you can do is go in and create your ad, and then it will use the information that we know about ads to post an ad that we believe is going to be as effective as possible on Facebook for you. Right now it's just Facebook, but we do have plans in the future to move this forward to include other platforms that you can post ads on. So stay tuned for when we do a video on each of those, but for now it is just going to be Facebook. Now, if you haven't set an account up yet, you'll go down to Marketing and AdWizard, and this is the screen you'll see. Now here, it's going to show you, before using AdWizard, you need to request an ad account set up. So you would just click on Request One Now, and then it'll give you the ability to log into your Facebook page. And then once you've logged into your Facebook page and just followed through the wizard there to grant the permissions, and that's all controlled by Facebook. Once you get all through that, you'll be able to select your Facebook business page that you want to associate your ad account with, and then just hit Save or Continue, and it will take you through to the screen we were just on where it actually shows you the home page for AdWizard. So let me go over there. There we are. So now this is the account where I actually have AdWizard set up. So I'm going to go down here to Marketing and AdWizard yet again. And that'll take us to the ad homepage since I already have that account all put together. Now here we have some options along the top, and it also will show you any of the ads that you've created in the past and also the status of those ads. So there are a few different statuses they could show. The one that'll be the most important to you is payment required, really, because that's going to mean that that's an ad that we haven't run yet. So that means that you went in and created it through the system, but you didn't set up payment for it, so it didn't actually run the ad. When they're set as payment required like this, you can click on it to go back into the ad and add your payment information, and then the system will run it. So just running along the top real quick, you'll hit New Ad to go through the process of creating a new one. You have a reporting tab, which will show you some information about the ads that you've run in the past. And we just have, this is just a test account, so there's not really anything in here. But it gives you information about those ads. And down here, it'll actually list out each of the ads as well. Payment history gives you information about all the ads that you've paid for and total amount of transactions. We're doing more to build out the reporting system, so this is just going to keep expanding. But for now, it gives you the basics of all the ads you've created and payment amounts and everything. Now next, under Settings, now you can see Show Call to Action pop-up on listing-based ads. So this would be if somebody clicks on an ad on Facebook that is listing-based and it takes them through to the listing detail page, the system can pop up a lead capture form when they hit that detail page. So that is currently turned on, so you can turn that on or off if you want. The idea would be it's just one more way that you can kind of prompt lead capture. So when somebody sees your ad and they click on it, they get to your page, it nudges them to enter their contact information for you and actually, create a lead. Now next, we have Edit Account. Now this will fill in with your Facebook pixel or tracking code here automatically. But that does show up in here if you ever need it. And then it also gives you the ability, and we did a video on this last week, but it gives you the ability to go in and set up your payment profile. That'll take you through to the payment profile page where you can actually create a payment profile that can be used not only for paying for things like the upgrade package in the DeltaNet if you are, depending on how your company billing is set up, But you can also use that for paying for ads, so that you don't have to enter credit card information each time. When you complete your ad, you just choose to pay with your payment profile instead of going in and entering your credit card information again. Now next, we have some tips here, and this just gives you some ideas about what you can do to make your ads as effective as possible when you create them through the system. So you can read through that, choose images that stand out, make sure you have certain elements within your ads. So it's a good idea to go in and read through this page to really get an idea of how you can make your ads as effective as possible. I mean, at the end of the day, you're paying to post these, so you want to get some return on your investment there. So that's what this page is all about. And then lastly, we have the home link here, which will take me back over to the AdWizard homepage. Now you can also see this Delta only tools, and just so I mentioned it, that's something that shows up for us for some kind of background configuration tools. So that's not something that you'll see in your AdWizard. All right, so let's go in and create an ad. So I'm going to click on New Ad. And we'll go over here. Now you can see all the different ad types you can create. Most of these work in roughly the same way. So you have your listing-based ads, open house, new listing, price reduced, recently sold, and general listing. All of those ads are centered around a listing that you add to it. And then that listing is going to kind of populate the ad with all of its information. And clicking on that by default will take users back to that listing detail page. The only one that is really different there is the open house ad. And the reason that one's different is that the open house ads are kind of meant to be short run deals because they're just running until the open house is over, or actually until I think an hour after the open house starts, something like that. So the reason that they do that is the ad really is irrelevant after the open house is over. So the rules are a little bit different in setting those up. Other than that, the rest of the ads, you just choose your property and then choose a radius around the property that you want that ad to target, and you go from there. And we'll go through each of those as we run along. Next, not everyone has access to the home value or the AVM ads. So right now that's only open to a few different companies. But if that is one that is available to you, you can create AVM ads there. And what that does is create an ad that leads back to the AVM platform. It's designed to generate seller leads there. And then lastly, you have a branded ad where it's just kind of a customizable ad that's advertising you and your brand as opposed to advertising a specific property. So we'll jump into Open House first and take a look at it. There we are. So here we are in Open House. Now I don't think I have any listings set up with Open Houses upcoming, but let's take a look here. So I'm just going to pick a listing. And now what it's going to do is load up my listing information over here in the preview. Now as you go down through the settings, we have the ability to define your audience by radius or by zip code. You can switch that back and forth. It's going to be radius by default, and the idea is that it's going to target a radius around this listing for this particular ad. But let's say that you have an ad that you want to advertise a listing that's more like a second home kind of a deal or a vacation property sort of thing. You're not necessarily going to want to market that ad in the same area that the listing is in. So if I have a beach house somewhere, maybe I want to market it to people like me in Ohio who might want to go to a beach house sometime instead of just other people that already live on the beach. So to do that, I can switch this to zip code, and then I can actually target the zip codes that I want. Zip code targeting is no longer available. Maybe you don't want to do that. This is the first I've seen this. Areas larger than your zip code being targeted with your ad. Okay, so you can target by zip code, but it just gets close. But that's the idea, that you want to target away from the area that the listing is actually in. So to do that, you would enter the zip codes that you want to roughly target here. Otherwise, we'll leave it on radius, and then you would just select what the radius would be. We set it as 15 miles by default. It kind of depends on your market as to whether that makes sense or not. A 15-mile radius around a property can be a very, very different market in some areas, whereas in other areas it might be, all the same kind of area. Just depends on kind of how rural the area is. So that's your setup there. Now next you can choose from the different open house templates that are available to you. So if I click on open house template, we'll do the open house ribbon. Let's see what that one looks like when it loads up. In the meantime, I can customize the headline that shows up on this. It's going to fill in with the property address by default. And I can fill in the short description below that, which fills in with some property information by default. And then lastly, I can customize where I want this ad to take the users that click on it. We set this up for you again, and it's usually a good idea to leave it the way that we set it, because this is going to take them through to the listing detail page in this case. We really just set these up to take users to the most relevant page on your website. So, but if you were setting up something specific, you do have the ability to go in there and change that if you want. Here we are. Now we can see this one has the ribbon set up. So there is our open house ad. Now you can also see if I click in this template, I have the ability to make a few changes. So if I wanted, my name to show up in a different spot, maybe I wanted to center this information. Well, just add piece. There we go. Now the company can control how editable these are, but if this editing is open to you, you can see how you can go in and make some modifications to it. Now you can also do things like, you see we have this anchor here where I can even rotate the text if I want. So you can get pretty fancy with these, and there's a fair amount of modularity when it comes to modifying them. There we go. Oh, I've gone a little overboard now. But you can kind of see, where you can go with these and how much you can change with them. So there we go. Let me drag that back up to something that makes sense. Perfect. It's beautiful. And now you can see I can also select from the photos down here. Lastly, with open houses, you can choose from a carousel type ad. So this listing carousel, where you don't have these customization abilities to it, but it does cycle through just the photos for this listing. Now with this one, because it's an open house ad, it would generally, if there were open houses set up for this listing, allow me to select those open house dates, and those would be the run dates for this ad. So once my ad's all set up, I'm going to click on Next. It's going to take me here. Now, because it's an open house ad, it gives me information about when it will run. So in this case, the ad will begin 1 day before the open house and end 1 hour before the open house is over. So that's when it runs. Right now, again, Facebook is the only platform available, so there is Facebook checked there. But as we add more, there will be other options for other ad platforms. It gives me a price, and then it also gives me estimated performance of the ad. So now if I click Next, that takes me through. Now I can review my ad. Just make sure that everything looks good here. Make sure that the ad template looks like what I want it to look like. And then if everything looks good, I'm going to click on Finish. Now when I click on Finish, what it's doing is actually saving my ad, so that ad's being saved into the system. And then it's also taking me to the payment page where I can choose to pay it. So now from here, it says we will use your stored payment information to collect a payment. So what that means is I have a payment profile set up already. So because I have that payment profile set up, which I could have either gotten to from the settings page or gone to the payment profile page and put together, I can just click on Pay, and it will use my payment profile to pay for and run this ad. Now, if I don't want to use the stored payment profile I have, I can say if you would prefer to use a different payment method, click here. So if I click here, it's going to think about it for a moment. It takes me to the other payment screen, and now I have the option to just click on Pay, and it will open up the credit card modal where I can enter in a credit card manually. So that way I still have the option of paying with a credit card on a case-by-case basis using different cards, even if I do already have a payment profile set up. So at this time, I'm not going to pay for this because I don't really want to run this ad. So I'm going to save and return back to my home page. So here we are. Now I'm back on the home page. You can see that it did save my ad, and my ad is labeled as payment required here. So now if I did want to run this ad, so if I decided that I didn't want to pay for it at that time, but I want to come back in and pay for it now, I could come in and click on it, and it'll take me back to that same payment screen where I can finish payment, and then the system will be ready to run the ad. Now, the next thing I can do, I'm going to click on New Ad again here. I can create a new listing ad. Now, the new listing, price reduced, recently sold, and general listing ads are all going to be roughly the same setup-wise. So I'll just click on New Listing. And now I'm going to find my listing again here. Might as well use the same one. Why not? So that's going to load it up over here. I have the same options to define my audience by radius or, again, by zip code. And I get that same warning for zip code. The historic Facebook settlement that it's talking about is a Collateral Analytica one, I believe. But if you click on it, it'll tell you. Actually, no, it might be a different one. Protecting against discrimination in ads. Well, there you go. So you can use zip code locations, but then as we discovered in the open house version of these ads, it's going to approximate the area, so you're not going to be able to hit those exact zip codes. But it should do a pretty good job of running the ad where you want it to. Now it loaded all the information up the same way over here, and then I have the same options to go in and customize this if I want. And you can see when you click on things as they highlight like that, you can move them around, you can rotate them, you can resize them. And that works for all the different things that will highlight that way. I can also select from the different images down here, which we didn't look at too closely in open houses, but that works the same way here and with those. Now as I go down, I have my templates I can choose from if we want to see the listing carousel, just so we can look at it. There's nothing really customizable with these, but you can see that you do have the ability to cycle through the photos, which is kind of cool on those. And then the rest of these options are the same. The only thing particularly different here is you don't have the ability to select from open houses. So the last one we didn't see that because I didn't have an open house set up for that listing, but with this one I wouldn't have that option anyway, because now I'm just exhibiting a new listing in this ad. I'm not actually advertising like a specific open house. So from there it works the same way. If I click on next, it'll take me through here, but now where it differs from open house ads is that I can choose when this ad will run, and then my pricing will update based on what I choose. So right now it's going to run Tuesday, November 26th through Tuesday, December 3rd. If I wanted to run it for 2 weeks, I could click on the end date and just push that out a little bit, and you can see the price changed automatically to show me what the new price would be for the new date range. I believe this does still bill by the week, so there's kind of a price per week when it comes to running the ads. And again, it gives me the estimated ad performance and all the same information. If I click through next, it'll take me through the rest of the process where I go through and finalize the ad, save it, and then pay for the ad, the same way I would with the open house ads. So I'll go ahead and save this one. So it gives me the backup information about the ad, shows me the ad again. I click on finish, it's going to process, which again is going through the saving the ad process. And then it's going to take me through to the payment page. I didn't give it any zip codes, so it's going to be interesting to see what kind of reach it really has. And now we will save and return home. So there we go. So now that ad is saved as well. Now the reason I went through and saved that one, even though that last part of the process was the same, is because we have added a feature where you can go back in and edit ads that haven't been paid for yet. So this ad in particular, we set it up, we saved it, it's all ready to go, except we didn't actually submit the payment for it. So I can delete it, just like I always could or can with any of the other ads, but in this case I can also click on the little pencil here, and it'll take me back into Ad Wizard, where I can make changes to it and then resave it before I actually pay for it and send it out. So it's just one additional option where you can set something up and then take a look at it again later and decide if you don't like it the way it is, make some changes to it before you actually go through with posting it. All right, so we'll go back to the home page. I'm going to go back down here to cancel. Now from the ad home page, I'm going to go back to new ad one more time. New ad. Well, it still wants me to edit this ad. Just refresh this page for completion's sake. There we go. So now I go back to new ad. Now the other ads that I can choose from here are, so we went over open house. All the new listing ads work the same way. The AVM ad, like I said, is also set up roughly the same way, but it's not available to everybody. And then last we have the branded ad. So I'm going to click on the branded ad and take a look there. Now the way the branded ad will work is this one has to target on zip code because there is no listing information for it to center on. And it has different templates because it has kind of a different purpose attached to it. So you can see we have name subtitle, and that's getting that information from just my regular account. And if I go down here in headline, now we can see as I fill those out, it's refreshing up here automatically, and then that is how it filled out with this particular template. Now I can click on these templates. You can see we have several different ones here, so you can just kind of click on these, decide which one you like. And each time you select one, it's going to load up back here, and you'll get a look at it. You can also add a custom background, or you can select from some of the backgrounds that we have built in already. So right now it's on family ones by default. So if I click on this one, we can watch it load up here. Maybe. There we go. So you get the idea of what it'll build out here. Now the whole point of this is, as we go down, this one by default is just targeting your home page, which is usually where you want these ads to go. But if you had a specific landing page, anything like that you wanted to send these ads to, you could customize that here. Now I can also select from some different categories, and we're adding in different photos for different backgrounds here, different stock imagery that you can use for these. So the idea is you just build out your ad, you have a little more options as far as customizing these, and then once you have the ad you want, let's go with a gradient, that sounds fancy. There we go, that's kind of cool. So you go through and you get your ad created the way you want. And then the rest of the process, when it comes to actually saving and paying for the ad and sending it through and posting it on Facebook, all works the same. So once it looks the way I want, I'll click on Next. It'll give me the same ability to choose the run dates. It'll give me the same performance estimates. And the rest of the process is the same. I just go to Next, and it takes me through, saves the ad, or lets me verify the ad, then saves the ad, and then lets me pay for and post the ad. So there you have it. Now I'm going to cancel this one as well. We'll close out of there, and that is the AdWizard platform. So that is how you set up the ads of all the different types. Like I said, we didn't cover all of them directly, but they all work in exactly the same way and have kind of the same degree of customization, with the exception of those open house ads. Now, as you'll notice, you can't go back and edit the open house ad, because the open house ads are just designed to be little short run deals, and they're set up in a very specific way. But the other ads, if you create them kind of within the last couple of weeks and on, you're able to edit those again before you actually submit payment for those. If you created any ads before that are still sitting as payment required, we've only implemented this platform in the past couple of weeks, so you won't be able to go back and edit those old ones. But there you go. That is the ad platform in a nutshell. So, as always, thanks a lot for joining me. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, feel free to give us a call or send an email into support@deltagroup.com, and we will be happy to get you the answers you need. Thanks a lot for joining me.